In the last 15 parts of this series, we examined individual anomalies. We saw solitary geniuses like Tesla and Leonardo, or singular conquerors like Alexander and Genghis Khan. They were localized glitches, powerful processing units operating in isolation from the mass. But after touching the physical ceiling of space with von Braun in the 1960s, the simulation changed strategy. It no longer needed lone heroes. It needed distributed computing power. Thus began the most radical update in human history, the creation of the hive mind. Official history tells us that the Internet was born from an American military defense project called ARPANET in the late 1960s. The goal was to create a decentralized communication network capable of surviving a nuclear attack. If one node was destroyed, data could find another route. In the logic of hidden logic, this is a server redundancy protocol. The simulation was preparing for a critical crash scenario, the Cold War, and needed to ensure that fundamental data would not be lost. They began building the digital highways on which our reality now travels. But the physical infrastructure was only the beginning. The real quantum leap came with the creation of communication protocols such as TCP/IP, developed by Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn. Before this, computers were like towers of Babel. They spoke different, incompatible languages. TCP/IP was the universal translator. It is the code that allowed different machines to agree on the reality of the data they were exchanging. It was the moment when the system standardized the internal language of the simulation, allowing disparate subsystems to merge into a single network. Then, in the early 1990s, Tim Berners-Lee arrived. If others built the roads and the language, he built the user interface, the World Wide Web. He took raw code and made it navigable for the average user through HTML and URLs. He democratized access to the system's backend. Suddenly, you didn't need to be an engineer to access the network. Anyone could become an active node. And here lies the crucial point. This changes everything. Before the Internet, every human being was a computer working offline. We could process information, but our ability to share it was limited by the speed of speech or printed paper. Latency was extremely high. With the Internet, latency dropped almost to zero. The simulation took billions of individual biological processors, us, and connected them into a global neural network. We moved from being individuals to being nodes. Think about the speed at which information spreads today. A meme, a tragic news story, a political idea. They no longer spread linearly. They spread virally, instantaneously, like an electrical signal traveling through a brain. We have lost the capacity for deep, slow processing in favor of immediate, superficial reactivity. We have become the RAM of the simulation, whereas before we were the hard drive. Why did the system need this update? Why did it have to sacrifice individuality for connectivity? Because it was preparing for something that required a bandwidth no single human brain could provide. We were building the infrastructure for the final anomaly. Watch until the end to understand where the trap is hidden. The trap is believing that the Internet is a tool we use. The truth is that the Internet is the new environment we live in. We are not the users. We are the data packets traveling across the network. They wired the planet to prepare it for the next occupant. Thank you for connecting with Hidden Logic. The creation of the hive mind was not the end of the story. It was only the preamble. Subscribe now, because we have reached the present. In Part 17, the last before the grand finale, we will examine what is happening right now. We will investigate the singularity of 2026, AI, and the theory of the dead Internet.